unionization as we know it and as COSATU knows it and as Jay organized it is a thing of the past. It's a thing of the past. COSATU lost 76 million rand of subscription fee last year. 1 million jobs were lost. And whether they agree to stay or not to stay, whatever they do, in the next 10 years they'll be irrelevant. It's the last kick of a dying horse that refuses to die and refuses to see the reality. It's not because it's unique to COSATU. I used to do research work for COSATU when Jay was there. I like unions, they have a very important role, but the workplace is changing. That means from within, given the structure of the South African economy, from within, the unions are not going to be a force. And as a result, they'll cause a lot of destruction before they accept reality. So we need to be prepared for that and not be sidetracked. One of the mega trend that Clem referred to is going to prevail at the end of the day. But in the next 5-6 years, there are going to be interesting developments, a splintering of unions. We've already seen a new union on the side. And my prediction from an economic point of view, not from a political point of view, from an economic point of view is that in the next 3 to 5 years, COSATU as we know it will become a union of public sector workers, meaning representing the middle class, not the blue collar. Remember in South Africa, income distribution is such that the teachers, the nurses, the policemen, they are your middle class. And therefore, the nature of COSATU will change, but there will emerge unions who will be unions, not kingmakers in a political sense. So we see a lot of changes, and with that will come changes in our democratic landscape.
You know, I think the core of our problem is about governance and leadership. You know, if people just did the job we pay them for, this country would be a much better country. You know? So I'm not expecting extraordinary service from the public sector. But it really makes my blood boil when I hear of the epidemic of sexual abuse against our children in schools. When I hear that teachers spend so little time teaching for which we pay for them. When I hear about the corruption and the misuse and maladministration that is so blatant. You want to know why there's so much anger in this country? You know, in my day, when I organized workers, probably on average, an average worker would support between 6 and 7 dependents. Today, it's probably 3-4 times that number. You want to understand why there's wage pressure? Because they're not supporting just their own families. They're extended families that they are supporting. And so, yes, the nature of work organization has fundamentally changed from the time when I was an organizer. We accept that. But collective bargaining is also a cornerstone of our democracy. And I think that is fraying at the edges. So there's some real dangers, not just for the unions, but for our democratic institutions. And we've got to understand that, what's happening there. I think also what's happening is there's a whole insider-outsider phenomenon that's emerging, not just something that is South African or African, it's in the world today. And increasingly, the insiders are getting smaller and smaller, and the outsiders are growing. Right. And that inequality is what's driving anger. So can you imagine if you're unemployed, and you don't have the dignity of even being able to put food on the table for your children, and you see the wealth, the obscenity of wealth distribution around you? I wouldn't think that you would act any differently if you were in that situation. So we've got to get to the structural issues that face us. And I don't think that trying to say the unions are to blame or this is to blame. I think at the end of the day, we need a roadmap. It's a very different scenario that faces us. It's almost like when we were sitting at the edge of that precipice in 1990. And we said, listen, we've got 2 choices, either a scorched earth or a settlement. And in that settlement, we're all going to have to make sacrifices. And I want to ask you, as people in business, what sacrifices are you prepared to make? And I think that's a very fair question that people that are workers or unemployed are asking. What sacrifice are we at the middle classes in this country prepared to make? When we are able to want to have that conversation, then I think there will be an honest conversation. But 2 points I want to Nigeria is really important for us. Why is it important? 1 in 4 Africans will be Nigerian in the next 40 years. But if you start to look at what's happening, particularly in that youth bulge, which you've got to understand, that anger is exploding to a point where even the extremism you see, whether that's Westgate, there's Boko Haram or Al-Shabaab, try to understand. I sit and talk to people that are involved with these people and that are attracted by their cause. Because in the economic growth and development of the economy in Africa, what they see, increasing inequality and obscenity of inequality. So anyone who gives them a gun and says, there's the enemy, they're going to take the gun and shoot. It gives them an identity. So it's got, at the end of the day, it's not about religious fundamentalism. If we do not give people hope that the future is going to be better for them, that there's opportunity that they can benefit from, that the assets are going to make them poor, not that we are the richest under the ground and we remain the poorest above the ground, that we give hope to young people, I think we're going to have increasing social instability. So we have to come to those issues. And I think that's a tough conversation to have from all our sides, but one that we should be engaging.